Challenge Cup final, folks, and it's the Sharks. I have been waiting a number of years to see the Sharks win themselves a trophy. They get it done over Gloucester, 36 points to 22. Of all the trophies I thought they'd win, I thought it would have been Super Rugby at some point, but no, that's a long time ago now. It's the European Challenge Cup final. It's the one that they win. Let's go through some key events and some stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. But ultimately, that Sharks scrum, especially in the first half, goodness gracious me, that was probably the winning of the game. Certainly, with the scrum being under a bit of scrutiny recently with some law changes and whatnot, this game highlighted just what a pleasure it can be to watch a monstrous scrum just dominate another pack and get the scoreboard clicking over. That being said, for Gloucester, second half they managed to shore things up pretty well. But too little too late maybe. First half starts with Fussy taking out Zach Mercer in the air. That one could have been a potential yellow card, but just a penalty, but certainly put the Sharks under some pressure. And you wouldn't think it to look at the scoreboard, especially the fact that the Gloucester boys ended up getting a couple of consolation tries at the end. But the Sharks were hanging on for grim death at the start of this game. They were under unbelievable pressure. They got a yellow card warning within 3 minutes, which is unusual. Yellow card warnings tend to come as the match builds in, but they'd conceded early penalties. Fussy with that one in the air, then I think an offside one, and then a maul penalty to the ref. Matthew Reynard warns Eben Etzebeth that, man, any more of this and you guys are going to get yourselves a player in the bin. Gloucester go for the maul again. The Sharks did push them into touch, which was a good bit of D, but all the pressure with Gloucester still, and Fussy ends up being offside, so he doesn't get the yellow card early for taking out Mercer in the air, but he does get that kind of cumulative team penalty, and he spends 15 minutes in the bin. But what can Gloucester do with the extra man? Nothing. Sadly for Gloucester, they ended up knocking it on when they had the Sharks under the pump once again, and that's when we see the Sharks scrum start to shift the balance of the game. I mean, it's a massive shove from the Sharks pack. Gloucester concede a penalty, which means the Sharks are able to exit their own territory. And then on 14 minutes, during the yellow card periods, the Sharks are man down. They're able to get themselves on the board through the boot of Masuku. 3 points to nil, again on the back of that big scrum. So 3 points to nil, not a bad return for the Sharks, given that they have had a man in the bin. 21 minutes, though, a chance for Gloucester to even things up, but Carreras, sadly, for Gloucester again, pushes it wide, so nothing really going their way, although it doesn't matter, because Englefield, my gosh, smashes a 60, not quite 60, maybe 59, all but 60-meter penalty, literally about a minute later. So Carreras misses one, Englefield steps up to the plate from distance and whacks it over. So 3 points apiece. It's a proper final, both sides taking their points, but kind of out of nowhere, we do get the first try of the game. Like the game has not been free-flowing. There's been knock-ons, there's been a few aerial balls, there's been some scrums. It's been an arm wrestle, but it's not been clean breaks, free-flowing, big fins. But it comes. It comes through Pepsi Buthelezi. Goodness, man. Vincent Koch has a hand in setting it up as well with a carry and an offload. But then Buthelezi shows power, speed, and then even a wee dummy to go over the line. Like, he chalks up probably more run meters than anybody else in that first half. Just with that break he had to get his try as they kind of cut through the Gloucester defensive line. So try time for the Sharks, 10 points to 3. And then another scrum penalty. That's 3 for Gloucester from about 3 scrums. Leads to field position for the Sharks, which leads to another penalty, which leads to 13-3. So, yeah, man, the Sharks, having survived that kind of early period of pressure, are really starting to pile on some points. And then another Sharks high ball to Carreras. He gets tackled. The ball's not coming out of there, which means it's another scrum, which means it's another penalty, which means it's another 3 points for the Sharks, and a Gloucester yellow card warning just for the amount of penalties they've been conceding at scrum time. So 16-3 is the scoreline, and it's looking relatively comfortable for the Sharks. I mean, just before halftime, the ref did look at a hit on Fussy in the air, but he rules that it was kind of incidental, it was a natural incident, and not foul play. So there's been a few guys, taking aerial balls, which have been a little bit dodgy in this game. But yeah, 16-3 halftime score. The Sharks largely on the back of that scrum, but also, with the Buthelezi move, certainly the best attacking player of the game. Gloucester have had more possession, more territory, 54% and 57%, but the run meters are exceptionally low, like 92 meters Gloucester, 117 meters the Sharks. As I've mentioned before, in other games, you can see a player clock up 100 meters in a half if they get a couple of good breaks. So for the entire teams to both be around 100 meters, that's what I mean about it's not been that much kind of running rugby. But the penalty count's pretty high, 6-7. 6 of those Gloucester penalties, 4 of which come from their props. They have been under the pump. Clean breaks is 1 apiece. Second half, the Gloucester new front row. They switch it up and that gets a bit of pay. They manage to get themselves a penalty at scrum time, but Grant Williams puts in a nice intercept to shut down a Gloucester attacking play, and it's a pity for him that he didn't quite get into clean space. Like he had one Gloucester guy get a hand on him and then another one managed to kind of tackle him. If Grant Williams got himself into space, there wouldn't have been, like, actual space. There wouldn't have been any catching him. But, yeah, man, the Sharks scrum helps extend their lead again. 19 points to 3. They get back on top. And then another penalty means it's 22-3. 22-3, it's starting to look like this is probably game over. And the Sharks kicking game was certainly causing problems for Gloucester. At one point, Carreras knocks on a high ball. And then a dink through for Fussy. He gets clattered into, but the Sharks keep the ball alive. They go wide from a Pimpy who goes close. Then they go the other way for Fussy, who's back up off his feet, and manages to finish off a try. So 29-3 with that try to Fussy. I genuinely thought, man, this game is definitely done now. But immediately after, Gloucester score a try. The Sharks kind of fluff their lines with the restart, don't exit properly. They get caught, and Tui Sui's going to just come on. Is able to get a try from a maul for Gloucester. So, soft one for the Sharks. Sharks fans who've seen their team at finals before may have just had a little slight seed of doubt, I'm not sure. 29-10 is still a kind of comfortable enough lead, but any doubts that were in Sharks fans' minds or any hope for the Gloucester fans would have been probably extinguished when just a couple of minutes later, from another dropped high ball from Gloucester, the Sharks, Masuku puts in a hell of a cross kick to Mapimpi. It is perfect. It is just the easiest on the eye, most tantalizing kick. Mapimpi, he loved getting that one. So 36-10, he's absolutely untouched. That is certainly the game. I mean, there's another missed penalty from the Sharks, a first missed penalty from the Sharks. A little while later, Masuku, it's the only penalty he missed when Hastings was guilty of changing his line. That one was a surprising one just because Masuku had been hitting everything so clean up until that point. One of the biggest cheers of the night on 70 minutes when the Sharks subbed to their front row. I think a lot of fans appreciating just where that first half dominance in particular came from. And then the Gloucester do get a couple of consolations. Varney gets one, but it's chalked off for being in front of the kicker. But then, like, the best play of Gloucester's game was probably the Socino try. Just nice hands and some steps. Like Harris offload Carreras, 35-17. And then Freddie Clark gets another kind of length of the field one. Like, after Etzebeth is still smashed into Hastings. So, still putting in the hits. But 36-22 looks a bit better on the scoreboard than what it had been. But, yeah, ultimately, it was... just no way near enough time on the clock left for the Gloucester boys. Second half, I mean, really opened up. The final stats finished, run meters 336 to 244. So a lot more running in the second half. The possession and territory stats actually edged the Sharks' way in the second half. Clean breaks finished 6-4. Remember, it was 1-1 at halftime, so a lot more open play. Penalty count finishes 12-12, so evens up in the end, but yeah, the count kind of continues at about the same speed as it was. The Sharks kicking game, I think, certainly put them in good stead as well. They kicked 25 times to Gloucester's 15. Contesting those high balls really did pretty good work. Cock gets man of the match. It's great to see a prop get man of the match. Doesn't happen that often, but he was pretty useful. Fussy got a try, 72 metres, 2 clean breaks, 2 defenders beaten. James Fenter, 18 from 18 tackles from him. Carreras had 3 turnovers conceded, which is a bit disappointing, and missed that shot at goal that he took early on. But, I mean, Arthur Clark, 15 from 15 metres. So, yeah, the second half front row for Gloucester certainly able to put a better showing in than the first. But yeah, man, two teams whose season's not been going that well. It was good to see them kind of arm wrestle it out for a bit of silverware. And as I said, I didn't know if I'd get to see the Sharks win a trophy, but they finally win themselves a trophy at this level. It's been a long time coming. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Congratulations, Sharks, commiserations, Gloucester, and Champions Cup final tomorrow. At least tomorrow for me. That's going to be an interesting one. You guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.